Welcome back to Shooting It Straight. I'm Pistol Pete here with Ricky Revolver.
How we doing, ladies and gentlemen? Look at us. Episode 1, 2, skip a few, 99, 100. Here we go. Keep them on. Keep trucking. Well, I mean, right out the gates, we're just going to be firing on all cylinders because, we're going to send our condolences right out to Indianapolis. I know Pete, he's got a little more in-depth on it. Like I've said before, I'm not too up to date, but I did catch it in the news, so we want to give our condolences out to Indianapolis, and heartbreaking. But from there, Pete, I segue to you, my friend.
Well, you started that off fairly enthusiastic. You were happy, you were chipper, and I was going to have to slap you back down to reality. But
it came.
It looks like you took yourself there, so...
Yeah, it came.
We give our condolences to the victims and the families from the Indianapolis shooting. How many times do I gotta say it? Like I said before, like we've heard in the previous episodes, the very first thing I told you when we determined the winner of the 2020 selection, and that we were gonna have to go back to fighting the gun control agenda every single day. Mm-hmm. And that I was most not... of the entire smorgasbord of bad shit that I was expecting to become of it, and that I was saying, the one thing that I told you I was not looking forward to was waking up every single day, every single week, a month, like whatever the frequency of which we have these active shooter situations. Today was no different. So 8 people, at least the last I saw that was reported, was 8 people killed, and others wounded, and the guy took his own life. And it's frustrating to me, like I told you in the beginning, that in order to push the agenda, we have to sacrifice people's lives. Mm-hmm. I still wholeheartedly believe, and apparently the shooter was an employee there sometime in 2020, so there could be the occurrences where it's an act of workplace violence. I mean, regardless of the administration and the agenda you push and things like that people, this manages, as unfortunate as it is, manages to happen every now and again on those terms. But you can't convince me at the frequency in which we are seeing it, mm-hmm, that these just happen to be a coincidence. So I get a little... I mean, I'm at like a loss of words. Realistically.
Yeah, it's like every week. It's almost every day, it feels like.
I was going to say, if it feels like every day. I mean, I'm going to say
we're
like at least weekly, probably. I mean, we're like monthly. Then it seems like weekly. Now it seems like every day. And how many lives have to be sacrificed, and people have to lose a dad, a son, a mom, a daughter before they give it a rest? Because like I said before, we're like on the brink of all hell breaking loose. And mm-hmm, they're trying to explain to you how dangerous guns are, but they're like poking the bear with a stick the entire time. Nobody, I mean, you may get a few people that give up their firearms, but you're not going to get everyone to give them up without some sort of
retaliation,
massively tragic event, mm-hmm, or events, or it just isn't going to happen. So there's really just other than that, what are we supposed to do? Are we supposed to just sit around and wait for the next one? I mean, that's pretty much all we can do at this time, and it sucks because we shouldn't have to lose people to advance an idea that we've been trying forever to accomplish that is never going to happen. Never going to happen.
It's probably been going around since muskets were the only gun. We didn't take everyone's muskets.
Those guys were pretty hardcore back then. Those guys weren't
gonna
giving
give
up
them up.
shit.
Hey, you ain't gonna get my musket without one lead coming at you.
That's right. I mean, they're going to give it to you one musket at a time.
Right.
You know? So,
I mean, God, it's just crazy, man. I hate flipping on the news because, like I said last week, it just ain't anything good anymore. And it's just saddening because I don't see it changing. It definitely don't feel like it, and it definitely ain't looking like it.
It's only going to get worse.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're only a couple months, or a few, 4 months into it. I mean, we'll be 4 months into the new administration on Tuesday. So, I think that's right? Yeah, we'll be 4 months in on Tuesday, and we've already had, I don't know, it's tragic, and I feel bad. I said that I wasn't looking forward to this, and it seems to be part of the nature, which people seem to want to. I told you that before, there's no better gun and ammunition salesman than a Democratic presidential candidate or president. I mean, you can't go into a sporting goods store and find ammunition right now. And people just vote for the guy with the D next to his name, not on what it is that he's trying to do or how he's trying to do it. They scare people into how dangerous guns are, so you get those people that vote for the guy with the D next to his name, and they're like, yeah, we got to take him, and all it's doing is pushing everybody else's buttons.
Well, I think
costing people...
AR-15 is the same size as a sniper round, some 50 cal round.
And all it's doing, all this argument is doing is costing people's lives at the end of the day.
100% agreed.
You can't just vote for the guy with the D next to his name without knowing what the policies of each candidate are. Just because your dad and his dad and his dad and his dad voted Democrat doesn't mean that you just keep carrying on that tradition. I mean, we've talked about it. I literally get my balls busted on a daily basis for voting the way I do. People are upset with me because I supported Donald Trump. I'm going to tell you right now, I didn't give a rat's ass about Donald Trump, the person. I cared about Donald Trump's agenda. I didn't give a rat's ass if Donald Trump was mean to reporters. Reporters were mean to Donald Trump every single day. I cared about what he was going to do, how he was going to do it, how he was going to affect, how his actions were going to affect people.
Mm-hmm.
And some people don't do that. They just want to vote. Well, I was raised and as I was growing up, my parents always voted Democrat, so that's what you're supposed to do. That's not how it works. Not to mention the fact that when your dad and his dad and his dad and his dad voted Democrat, it's not the same way anymore. It's flipped. The Democrats used to be for the blue collar. The Democrats used to be for, the working class. It's what conservatism is today. It's flipped. You have to know what you're doing because a misinformed voter is almost more dangerous than not voting at all.
Mm-hmm.
So, I've been getting a lot of negative shade thrown at me for...
I see you saying that, and I don't see any on here, so it must be just to you personally.
It is to me personally.
That kind of hits a sour spot with me.
I don't... It's been more along the lines of the things I've been saying and that I shouldn't voice those kind of opinions publicly and that... But I've also been getting the same amount, not on the social media. Some people say, oh yeah, keep it up or whatever, this, that, and the other. But I've been getting a lot of negative, a lot of people upset with how I've been going about it, what I've been saying. And these are the same people that have told me, I mean, since the beginning of the election year, I've been screaming about all this bad stuff that's going to be coming our way if this guy gets in office, if we end up with the Joe Obama administration. And every single time, whether it's this is what's going to happen, this is what I see happening, here's what it is, in black and white, I've been told every single time that I'm wrong. Every single time that that's not true. And we're literally watching it unfold right in front of our eyes. Mm-hmm. And I've been right every single time. And in this situation, I don't want to be right. I didn't want to be right. But I am. And I got the business from someone relatively close to me that was a little upset that we went kind of sort of down a political path, so to speak, which I struggle with a little because we tried to stay away from it, kind of. But every single thing that's happening, every single thing that you have to make a decision on at this point in time is kind of comes full circle back to politics at this moment.
Oh, and everything.
I mean, taxes, jobs. I mean, and realistically, to me, it's not even really politics. It's common sense. I mean, I really, really feel like we're lacking like common sense at this point in time as a majority, because nobody can see what is being, like, just like we had to talk about the media. Like I said, you have to, if you're going to watch one that I'm telling you is not good, you got to watch the other one too that you think is not good, and you have to take all the information and you have to draw your own conclusions, because what have I been preaching about CNN? They lie. They lie all the time. They may be talking about something that was, in fact, a true story, something or something that did happen, something that is going on, but the way in which they portray the situation, the way in which they twist the information, the parts that they leave out, all makes it seem like it was something completely different than what it was, which ultimately would make it not true, which is like what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's crazy because it's like facts don't even matter anymore, which is crazy.
I've been saying since the beginning of this entire thing, when we finally kind of hit a level where everybody's starting to kind of see like maybe the majority of people that I talk to see maybe that's not true. Maybe this. I've been saying CNN is not, they're spreading the fear. They're trying to smear the current administration. They're trying to get you to believe things that are in fact not the way they happened. And I've been slammed on and told every day that I'm wrong. I was told by the individual that wanted to give me the business about the podcast that I should watch CNN because I don't remember what it was on the CNN. I wouldn't watch CNN if you held me down and pinned my eyelids open, because everything they're feeding you is bullshit, and it's fear-mongering. And case in point, did you see the video or the audio that was released from one of the executives from CNN that basically was bragging that he had came to the network so that he could be a part of making sure that Donald Trump didn't win re-election? That this was their goal, that they accomplished what they came to do. That he was happy that they succeeded, happy that he could be a part of that, which is what I've been saying the entire time. And everyone wants to tell me that I'm wrong. I mean, realistically, I literally... He also admitted in the audio that he truly believes that had they not done what they did, that Donald Trump would have won re-election. So that was like a victory for him. So now the American people can suffer because somebody didn't like Donald Trump. They didn't like how he talked to reporters. They didn't like that even though he did more for this country than any administration I can remember. Which I'm not that old when you're So, realistically, I mean, ultimately, I don't care. I mean, if I ever strike you as the type of person that really would give two shits about what someone, whether they like or don't like what it is that I have to say.
No.
I mean, I really have, I don't care. I have no apologies at all if you don't disagree with me. I literally will lose zero sleep. I mean, I haven't talked to my own dad, the guy that raised me, in 3.5 years because he turned out to be an egotistical, narcissistic liar, and I've literally lost zero sleep. So I don't really care what it is that people think or do. My only goal is that by sharing it in, our words or our opinions, that we are able to, if we reach one person, if we help one person open their eyes and change their views, then maybe they can help one person, and they can help one person, and they can help one person. If you open someone's eyes other than just what they're hearing on the TV,
that's worth any buck.
That's what I'm saying.
You're darn tootin'.
So when people seem, and it realistically is not even like I don't want to talk to someone because I think that their opinion differs from mine. No, that's fine. If you want to hash it out, let's hash it out. Let's do this. I can do this all day long.
Oh, that's how you progress, man. You gotta have debates. There's nothing wrong with a healthy debate. There ain't nothing wrong with it.
No. And I welcome the opportunity.
Man.
Like I said, I can do this all day long, but if you're not gonna open your eyes and you're not gonna use common sense, and I mean realistically, that's a huge problem right now. And if you have to think for more than a couple of seconds, do I have common sense or do I not? You probably don't. So if you're unwilling to listen and have those debates without just telling someone that they're wrong and they don't know what they're talking about and just shutting it down, when at every single turn that person you've been telling is wrong, is proven to be right over and over and over and over and over again. Just like the case of the CNN News Network. Then, that's when I don't want to talk to you. Because if you want to tell me and try to explain to me why exactly it is, but you can't...
You can do this, but then you can't do this.
Exactly.
You can do all the talking, but then when it comes to you having your side of your story or your belief of what you see it, how you see it, and you just shut down and la 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 la, fingers in ears and just la 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 all the way. How's that a healthy debate?
It's not.
That ain't doing nothing.
And that's legitimately how it's gone for me.
You're being worse.
I've literally not been able, since January, I could not have screamed any louder that if this is the path that you want to go down, this is what's going to happen to us. I could not scream any louder. And every time I turn around, something else happens.
Because it's just an out of sight, out of mind thing. That's how I guarantee 90% of America lives. Out of sight, out of mind.
Well, it's funny that you bring
that up.
that
So if it ain't
up.
happening here, well, I don't need to worry about it. Until it happens here, and then you're...
Well, and that's
Toast.
the other
burnt toast.
It's funny that you mentioned that, because I think that has kind of almost played into the agenda, so to speak, of what it is that they're trying to force people in. I mean, like literally just controlling our lives like puppets.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody that's watching these news networks that are feeding into this and changing, twisting the stories, are trying to control our lives. And then you have all these sheep running around. They're just herding sheep that are like, yeah, that sounds good, that sounds good, that sounds great. I think that literally is part of what they tried to accomplish in the year 2020. Because realistically, I talk to people all the time and they'll try to tell me something. I'll say, where'd you see that? Or I'll say, well, did you see this? Do you see that? No. They made 2020 such an absolute disaster, and dividing everybody fighting. Well, they're lying, these people are lying, that people are lying, that everybody's just tuned out. They're not even paying attention anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So you have the people that aren't even paying attention at all, that have no idea what's going on. Then you have the people that are paying attention, and they're getting a jab from every angle every single day. And you're trying to tell them, no, that's not true. That's not true. So they're still trying to control our life with COVID every single day. They move what they said before. I mean, just like the vaccine, like I was telling you the other day. They're saying if you have the vaccine, you still wear your mask. You can still get COVID. If you can still get COVID after taking the vaccine, why are you forcing us, or trying to force us into taking the vaccine? Because if I'm going to get COVID and I didn't take the vaccine, or there's a chance I can get COVID if I don't take the vaccine, but there's also a chance I could get COVID if I do take the vaccine. What's the point of even taking it? Because the beauty of the world that we live in at this point in time, because it's still the free world, is that when all this happened, although I don't want to take the vaccine myself, I don't shame anybody that does want to take the vaccine, but the point of the matter is, the world we live in, when this happened, the president is able to phone up these businesses and say, I need you to produce this vaccine for me. We need it right now, by this time, by this date. We'll pay this much money for this much. Hats off to him. It was accomplished in a record amount of time. But these people that are running around with this vaccine in their arm are the test dummies. They are the lab rat. I mean, we're now just what? We just shut down a vaccine because there's possible links to whatever?
6, and it was blood clots.
Blood clots, which they're now trying to say they don't know.
Between 28 and 40?
Something like that. They're trying to say now they don't know if that was linked to, but it might be.
Oh, like they were saying on the radio, that's 6 from the 6 million and something that you gave out.
But at the same time, do you want to be the 7?
Oh, I know I would be.
100%.
Yeah, I know my luck. We went over this.
That's what I'm saying. And so then you get people like, well, then you have the argument, well, if they want to force you to get the vaccine, like let's say an employer wants to force you to get the vaccine. Well, it's their business. It's the free world. They're allowed to, they can do that if they want to. You can choose not to work there. Well, yeah, I can. But that's like something that is like private, that maybe you discuss with your doctor. I don't see why. I mean, what if you're young? What if you're young and healthy and you don't necessarily even need to take it? So instead of taking your chances on something bad happening to you for something that hasn't been around very long, you would rather take your chances on maybe getting and surviving a virus with a 98% survival rate. I mean, that should be your choice. That should be something you discuss with your doctor based on your health issue, not something that your employer says, well, then you don't work out. I mean, what if you got a good job that you don't want to leave? You don't want to not work there. I mean, is that your only option? Like, I quit, or I get the virus and take the chance on, or get the vaccine and take the chance on something bad happening to me? Then you have the guy that originally said, you have this doctor running around, that's the White House doctor, moving the expectations every single day. One day he says one thing, the next day he says another thing. I mean, before this even happened, they say something like he served like 6 administrations. That's like 24 years. And I've never seen this guy before like late January or early February last year. I had no idea who this guy is. So not only does he look shady, he's now out here trying to tell everyone what to do. And I mean, like, you don't even know who this guy is before then. Now he just loves the fame. The fame of being on TV every day. The fame of going out in public and wanting to take. So of course he's going to keep moving around. Why would you want to stop trying to control people that are listening, hanging on to your every single word, if you can keep it up and everybody's looking at you all the time about, well, what's next? What's next? And you have a bunch of people running around believing everything he says. You can go back to an interview. You can watch an interview with him on the well, it's probably on YouTube now, or you can find it on the internet, of him saying that you don't need to wear a mask at all, period. In the beginning, that it's actually probably worse for you to do that because it can catch a droplet of this and a droplet of that, and then it went to mask and everyone has to wear a mask. Like, I just want to walk around like a normal person again, if I want to walk around like a normal person again. Without a mask. See people's faces, you know?
You're shooting for the stars, bud.
I just... At this point in time, I literally don't even know which way is up anymore. So...
all I know is people got feelings, man. And you keep pushing people to their brink, bad shit's about to happen.
Yeah.
Good people do bad things when they get pushed to their brink. Everybody's got a limit. Everybody's got a button. Everybody's got a lever. Whatever you want to call it. Everybody's got it.
Someone very close to me told me this morning they were concerned that they've got a much bigger heart than I do. I'm a firm believer in you reap what you sow, your karma.
Yeah.
You get what's coming to you. And they have a bigger heart than I do, and they're concerned that the government is just controlling every aspect of our life right now, and that they are mentally stable and feel like every day we're getting attacked from a different angle. They're at the point of a nervous breakdown. What about the people that aren't stable? That are going to have the mental breakdown? That are... I mean, like, the suicide rate is going to skyrocket. And nobody seems to care about what it's doing to people's mental health because they're worried about who they can control and how they can control them. I mean, I'm still kind of a firm believer that this whole thing is like, how far can we push?
Oh, they're riding this wave till it crashes into the bank. And they're not going to be like, oh, we were wrong. Like, sorry, everybody. This, that, and everything. It's... No, once you have 2 feet in, man, it's 2 feet in. And I don't call it common sense anymore, just to kind of piggyback off your common sense thing. I've been calling it uncommon sense for, like, almost 10 years. Ever since I've worked in customer service, I've seen it. Just from little things like customer service, it's just like...
Yeah, it makes no sense.
What?
Just like the push for gun... Back to the push for gun control. They say, just like COVID... just like COVID. What did we hear in the beginning? Oh, 15 days. 15 days to flatten the curve, right?
This will blow over.
Isn't that what we heard, like, over Well, and then you had all the governors and stuff shutting down the states with the push for 15 days to flatten the curve. That was over 365 days ago. Mm-hmm. So it's like, just like the gun control, they keep trying to push it and push it and push it. And the laws that it starts out small, just like it started out with 15 days. It starts out, well, we just want expanded background checks because we want to make sure that the firearms don't end up in the hands of people that shouldn't have them. Mm-hmm. We've discussed that over and over again, but we've also discussed that there is literally no way to keep the gun. They can take everybody that follows the law's guns as they continue down this avenue of pushing gun control by, well, it's just this little bit. So then they do that, just that little bit, and it causes a little bit of an uproar, but then everybody kind of settles down, and then it's like, well, we just need to do this other thing. Then everybody kind of gets wound up about it. Then they let it ride for a little bit. Then they say, well, we just need to do this one other thing. And they just inch and inch and inch and inch. And like we discussed before, there's nothing that you can do that's going to keep the firearms out of the hands of people that shouldn't have firearms. Case in point, I think it was yesterday or the day before, they finally released a video, I think it was body cam footage, video of a 13-year-old that was actually shot by the police last year in like March, I think it was. He was 13 years old. He was shot by police because he refused to obey the commands, and when they had caught him, he had a handgun. He wouldn't drop the handgun, and he had his hand behind his back. So they released the audio initially, where you can hear the commotion, you can hear the police officer yelling at him to drop the firearm. Then he gets shot by the police, and then it turned into cop shoots in the media. Cop shoots unarmed black kid. It wasn't actually true. He was armed. I think it was reported that he did eventually drop the gun, but in the video, he never would take his hand out from behind his back. So they didn't know that he dropped the gun, which, spoiler alert, if you obey the commands of the police, bad things don't happen. The police were obviously there because he was not doing good things to begin with. And then when you don't comply, it just compounds your problems. And he did have a gun. They didn't shoot an unarmed black man. But what's the moral of this story? What does common sense tell you? That kid was 13 years old. It's illegal to possess a handgun under the age of 21.
Yeah, where the hell did you get a handgun?
So there's not a law that's going to keep firearms out of the hands of people that shouldn't have them. They're going to break the law, and that's common sense. So where do we go from here?
I'm just hanging on tight, man.
Well, like I told you before, it's going to get worse.
Oh.
They just introduced a piece of legislation. Have you heard the term pack in the court?
It rings a bell, but
They just produced a day or two ago a new piece of legislation to add 4 Supreme Court justices to the Supreme Court, making it 13 justices, not 9. So, Supreme Court justices believe that's a lifelong adventure, job.
Yikes.
So to speak. When you get selected. And I believe that is a selected. They're not an elected.
What type of background check do they have? Better be freaking pretty in depth.
Well, it is. And
you're looking to do a lifer.
I've actually watched confirmations, and they're pretty intense. You're there until you either decide that you're not there anymore, or till you run out of time, if you know what I'm saying. So whenever you were selected, you're selected usually by the president, depending on what that is. So as of right now, our Supreme Court, I think, rules in favor of like the Republican Party. So now they're pushed to add 4, which I believe has always been 9, or 9 for like a few hundred years. Or I mean, I can get back to you on that if you need the specifics. But the bottom line, it's been 9 for a long time. And so by adding 4, then they get to choose. What did I tell you in the beginning? I told you in the beginning, aside from the fact that I wasn't looking forward to going back to all the shootings to push gun control, is that they were going to push this massively progressive agenda, far left agenda. And I told, probably within 2 years, because there's a lot of legislative seats in the other 2 chambers coming up for grabs. And they want to push this radical agenda. And right now they have control of all 3 branches. So realistically, I think there's ways for them to do whatever it is that they want. That's why everyone was always disappointed in the Republicans when they had the House and the Senate, and they could push what they wanted to, because they always say, just like when Obamacare, as soon as we have the House and the Senate, we're getting rid of it, and we're getting rid of it. We're going to vote against it, and then they didn't. So everybody's always disappointed. Then now that they have all 3 branches, I think in the midterms, there's something in the neighborhood of like 30-something seats coming up for re-election. So there's a possibility that they will not control all 3 branches after that. Because when you start out and you push that radical and that progressive, you're always going to have the people that think it's a great idea, that are down for it. But you're going to have a lot of people that didn't vote for that because of the way they were misled on the campaign trail. They just voted for the dude that had a D next to his name. Mm-hmm. So they're going to be like, whoa. And they're going to switch their, they're concerned that such a radical movement can push, they can only push it for so long before the possibility of the swing of those people that voted for the dude next to the D with their name that aren't down for this nonsense voting the other way, and then the people that voted the other way are still going to vote the other way because they're not down for this nonsense, and they're going to lose that Democratic majority in the House. I can't remember if there's seats just in the House available or in the Senate, but either way, there's a possibility of them losing at the midterms the majority of all 3 all 3 branches. So I told you, their agenda is going to come hard, and it's going to come fast.
They're not blink.
And I think that we're watching it right now. So, in the event that we get to the point where that becomes a situation to where if they stack that, because and end up with 13 justices, if they're able to pass that and change that number of justices on there, and they're able to push that agenda, because everything that they try and push gets refuted, as far as I know, so far has been filed in the Supreme Court. They get filed in the Supreme Court. So you have 2 teams. You have the Democrats and the Republicans, 2 teams, just like a like a baseball game or a basketball game, and the Supreme Court is supposed to be the official. You see where I'm going? So typically they'll tell this side you can't do that. They'll tell this side you can't do that, or you can do that, you can't do this. If they're able to stack it at this point in time in their favor by the selections that they make for these 4 additional justices, then they have all 3 legislative branches, and now they control the official that was blowing the whistle on the things that were unconstitutional. And that means bam, 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 bam. Anything they want, they get. And what happens then?
That is what they call checkmate. And we're toast.
Then everything goes. Because you literally have no recourse at that point in time, and no one to say you're out of line, you can't do that.
Like, whoa, that's a bit crossing the line. It's taking people's rights.
And that's exactly what will happen. Then we end up with, that's when I think that we're really going to see some hard times. But we got a few more things to talk about, but we're approaching that time. So I think we're going to have to put a wrap on episode 12.
Whew, that was quick. Dang.
Adios, America.
Well, we might be back for a next one. We'll see. Better give that media update just in case. So yeah, that'll be, sounds like a part 1. Definitely,
that's part 1 of Adios, America.
Adios, America, part 1. Little, sneak peek. All right, I like it. I like the name. So media, Facebook. We're on Facebook. I see a couple comments on Facebook. So we're still doing pretty good on there. That's the Shooting It Straight podcast. Give us a look on there. Give us a like. The episodes are getting posted onto Facebook, so you can listen to it there if you wanted. Probably easier for a lot of people that way. If not, you can go to shootingitstraight.com. That's shooting it straight without the G in shooting. So it's just shoot in. That'll take you to Podbean. You can listen to Podbean. That gives all of our episodes from intro, which was pretty crazy, to episode 12, right a freshie. So you can go on there if you want. Spotify, TuneIn plus Alexa, iHeartRadio, Player FM, and Pandora are also good ways for you to get a hold of us and listen to our latest and greatest. YouTube, Shooting It Straight with Pete and Ricky. Give us that subscribe. Hit that little bell for notifications. Gives you all the new ones also on there. And last is the gram. Drop us a DM. That's shootin_it_straight. And give us a DM, comment. We're trying to put pictures on there. I'm just going to be a spoiler alert, and I ain't very good with doing that type of stuff, so that's why it's been lacking. But other than that, that's media. Like I said, that was part 1, so stay tuned, keep listening. If that strikes your fancy, I can only imagine part 2 is going to be even better. So, other than that, thanks, guys.
So that's it for Shooting It Straight.
Yep.
Thanks.